I'm here today to be involved in perpetuating the memory, because memory is part of our history and it's part of our heritage and the legacy, and to remember those who gave their lives for us. It was unfortunate the way the crash happened, but then things happened in wartime, didn't they? In parts of Essex there are wrecks where flying fortresses have collided and fallen to the ground. They come back from a mission and then for what? Bang! But that's war.
Well, I'm here today because we've heard a lot about our Uncle Gerald our whole lives, but we never really knew the real story. Auntie Mel remembers him buying her a pair of white hockey skates, skating skates, and she remembers his kindness, and this means so much to her that we've come over here. In fact, she became a flight attendant when she was 20 years old, just so she could come over and visit Gerald's grave.
They were coming back from a patrol over the Normandy beachhead, and they were told to sort of lose height, and they clipped a power line. They lost part of the tailplane. The plane hit the ground, bounced up, hit a haystack, and flew on a bit more. And I think it hit another power line, and it crashed.
You're a local?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Are you?
No, I'm coming from Canada.
Yeah.
It's my uncle Louis.
Oh, right. So you've come over especially for this?
I did.
Did you? Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Whereabouts in Canada?
I'm from Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah.
And my sister's from British Columbia.
Yeah.
One
well,
end,
one
left,
side and one the other
right side and left side, as they say. Yeah, yeah. That's where we came from.
Ready for this?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Let's do it, eh?
He's not the one who's going to need Kleenex.
Oh.
He isn't, I am.
Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. I'll bit of explaining afterwards. All right. How you doing?
I'm doing okay.
Good. All right, let's do this then. We'll go early.
Ray, shut! Carry, standards.
Good morning, everyone. John came on a visit to England and got in contact with a colleague of ours called David Gibbs, who put us in contact, and we picked John up from the station in Harlow and we brought him here and then took him on to the airfield where his relatives Mosquito had flown from. And there was a chance remark in the back of a car of something along the lines of, "Isn't it a shame we couldn't mark this site?" And I thought, yeah, we can do that. Here we are. Thanks to the extremely generous contributions made by John's family in Canada and the Hertfordshire Airfield Memorial Group, who I, Jim and Dave Mead, who are here today, are a part of. We put this together all very quickly. Good old Ryan here. I asked for a fly pass. I didn't think I was going to get one every 30 seconds. So this has all happened rather quickly and along the lines, and it's here that we find ourselves today because 75 years ago, almost to the day, Gerry and his navigator Wally were returning from a combat sortie over the Normandy beachhead. They was reported in their height over the airfield, which was acknowledged. The other three aircraft received their transmissions from the airfield telling them that the cloud base was at a certain height, and it transpires that Gerry's aircraft was told to lose a certain amount of height, and it did, but unfortunately when he came out of extremely low cloud, which is down to about 300 feet and not the 1400 feet as stated, the aircraft hit some power lines. It made contact with the ground, flew on for another 200 or 300 yards before it hit a haystack where it lost a propeller and part of its engine, one of its engines. It then it made contact with the ground again, rose into the ground and made contact with a power line which was stood around about here, which was now dead because the main one had been cut, and the aircraft crashed where those houses are behind us. And that was 75 years ago today, and I'd just like to welcome John and Lise Vautour, who have travelled all the way back from Canada, who are nephew and niece of Gerry Vautour, and I'd like to welcome them here today especially. Thank you very much, and would you like to just unveil the plaque? Just give it a tug and let it fall to the ground. Now for the North Weald and Ongar Rafa Association will say a few words.
Let us remember those who have died for their country in war and peace, those whom we knew, and those whose memory we treasure, and all who lived and died in the service of their country and mankind. Altogether, may they rest in peace.
May they rest in peace.
The dedication of the Royal Air Forces Association. In friendship and in service one to another, we are pledged to keep alive the memory of those of all nations who died in the Royal Air Force and in the Air Forces of the Commonwealth. In their name, we give ourselves to this noble cause. Proudly and thankfully, we will remember them.
Standards.
Gerald's grave is in Brookwood Cemetery. It's in row I, plot 2. And we were very lucky yesterday to go there and meet some of the groundskeepers who actually look after the spot, and they explained why they plant the flowers that they plant and the military precision with which some of the layout is planned, so that it's just not a sea of white.
When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today.
When I walked in, it was so peaceful and serene and welcoming, and I just felt that Gerald was now in a wonderful, safe place.
Can you come forward now to lay the wreaths? Thank you.
I would have to say that it's a lot more than I expected, and I can't even explain what it's done to the inside of me. It's sort of, I'll get emotional if I talk about it, but it's made me feel as if I'm back there where Gerald was, and to hear the stories and to talk to the people of the town and to see everybody show up to commemorate these two young Canadian boys that they didn't know. I have to say it's probably one of the highlights of my life.
Members of our small group, we do these events to carry on the memory of these airmen. When you get personal involvement when you meet relatives and you can interact with them, especially most poignant being on the 75th anniversary like this, the closeness of it and being there with relatives, it's kind of humbling in a way. I feel pleased that we've enabled something to take place which may never have happened. John.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. 25 years ago, I was having a discussion with my father while watching a documentary about the D-Day invasion. And I asked him, I said, your brother Gerald, do you know anything about him? He says, I know very little. And so I said, I think I'll check into this. So all it took was a letter to the Legion, and the whole thing opened up. And Gerry, as they called him, was the oldest of 7 kids, brought up in eastern New Brunswick in a small fishing town. His mother died at 10, and he was at the time of enlistment, he was employed by the Canadian National Railway, the CNR, and he was deathly afraid that if the CNR knew that he was going to enlist, that they would fire him. But so he did. We had read some of his letters. We didn't know Gerry, of course. Nobody knew him very well. But from his letters, we found out that, one, he liked England. He said, Sis, this is a swell place. And he thought that this whole being with the Air Force and what he did was so exciting that it was an adventure. Unfortunately, the adventure ended too quickly and too young. He and Wally had flown together for several years. They were I think, a seasoned crew. And poor Wally was a 20-year-old prairie boy, again, who died too young. I was in contact with his family a couple of weeks ago and told them that we would be attending this ceremony, and I'm hoping that they will come here to visit someday. This Gerry left his passing, left a grieving family, left a heartbroken fiancée, Jane Cosgrove, but what he really left behind was now is a story to remember for all to see, whoever walks past this site, which greatly pleases our family back in Canada. Lise and I are representing the family, and especially his two living sisters, Mel and Janine. I'd like to thank David Gibbs for touring me around and introducing me to Dennis. And I'd like to thank Dennis for all the work he's done and all the communications and introducing me to Jim. And I'd like to thank you all for coming. This has been a really moving, important day for us. Thank you very much. This has been a great experience for my sister and I, and can't wait to report back to the people in Canada to tell them how hospitable and friendly the English people are. And looking forward to hopefully more trips back to England in the near future.
What's really special is that we had lost contact with a lot of our cousins because Canada's a big country and we're spread from coast to coast. And some of my cousins I haven't spoken to in 20 years. And this little excursion has brought us together, and we've talked, we've made connection, and you know, as one of them said to me, look what Gerald has done for us. I think that once they hear what we have to say about it, that they'll be coming. It's stunning. It's beyond what I believed it would be. It is. I would just like to say thank you to everybody who has contributed to this day to commemorate these two young men who really gave their lives so that we can have peace.